Thank you, though. Jordan,
I'm all set whenever you are, Madam Chair.
are we ready? Good evening. We're going to call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Woburn Zoning Board of Appeals to order. I would like to welcome our new member to the chambers this evening. Welcome to Ann Chatfield, who's joining us. We look forward to taking advantage of her expertise. To begin the hearing, I would ask everyone, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to remind everyone in the audience that this hearing is being videotaped and audio taped, so please keep that in mind if you decide to approach the rail and address the board. The first item on our agenda this evening is the petition of Zen TD LLC in connection with a special permit to knock down an existing single-family dwelling and construct a new one at 30 Sturgis Street.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, members of the board. For the record, Attorney James Giuliano from Giuliano Law Group, 607 Main Street in Woburn. Here on behalf of my client is from TD Zen is Tina Duan, who is the manager of the LLC. My client is proposing under a special permit under Section 7.3 to raise the existing dwelling and associated garage and construct a new single-family residence. As it stands right now, the existing house is a single family. It sits on 17,962 square feet of land and has 83.70 feet of frontage. My client is proposing to construct a new single-family residence. It is in the R2 zoning district, a new single-family dwelling, which will not deviate from any setbacks. It will conform to the existing zoning, except for obviously frontage. It is going to remain in 83.70. For that reason, obviously, it is not more detrimental to the neighborhood. We're not taking a nonconformity and exacerbating it with its frontage. For that reason, we feel that this petition should be approved. And I'll take certainly any questions that the board may have. We did submit architectural plans, 11 by 17, as well as site plans to the board as well previously with the application.
And so what's the structure? There's a separate structure in the back?
There is, the back is the existing house, and the front, you can kind of see it, it's.
All right, okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I
No,
get it.
Right where it's 30, the number 30 on the site plan, that's the
Yep.
existing house. And the proposed structure you can see is lined up front.
All right, how many bathrooms and bedrooms are there in the existing structure?
So the existing structure has 3 bedrooms and 1.5 bath.
And the new structure has 6.5 bathrooms?
No, the new
Not that
structure,
correctly? That doesn't seem right.
have to, Alderman Campbell, do you mind if I, where is she? Alderman Campbell has my architectural plans.
All right, well, what
I
about,
believe it's 3.5.
I counted 6.
I think it's
I just need to make sure I'm
I think it's significantly more than that.
So in the first, so there's going to be a first floor primary bedroom, as we now call it. Again, a bathroom in the basement, a full bathroom in the basement, one full bathroom in the first floor with a half a bathroom, second floor, 2 full bathrooms. 1, 2, 3 full bathrooms. So it's at 4.5, if I counted correctly. And again, the basement's not going to be, it's on the architectural plans, there is room for a bathroom, but the basement will be unfinished.
Well, it's not unfinished if there's a bathroom in it, and there's a bathroom marked on the plans, right?
Correct.
And is there any exterior access to the basement?
There is not proposed, as most of it is underground, as you can see. I think there's one area that's elevated below grade, but there's no proposed windows or doors that would access it.
All right,
So the only way would be, obviously via bulkhead, but no slider or,
I'm sorry, you said there will be a bulkhead?
I believe there's a bulkhead located on the plans. Hold on one second.
Because I didn't see anything, which is why I asked.
Yeah, so there is a proposed bulkhead that I'm not seeing here on the plan, but there will be a bulkhead, obviously, for, means of egress.
All right, so the plans are not accurate?
I'm not seeing the plan showing the bulkhead. Correct.
Okay. And let me see if I had anything else. But while I'm looking, let me ask, any other members of the board have any questions? Also, I should note for the record that alternate member Kavicki is going to be participating in the decisions this evening. Any other members of the board have any questions?
I've got a few. Attorney, this, if you will, McMansion has a flat roof, as in Sturgis Street being, as it is, on a huge slope and a hill. Is draining going to be addressed?
Well, in construction, certainly be addressed, and we have the builder here tonight that can speak on that a little bit. But there will be probably infiltration systems for roof runoff and things like that you're typically seeing with new construction properties, yes.
So is your question about if the roofs are pitched towards any other, I assume these roofs are not, there isn't anything that shows the pitch of them?
So, yeah.
But I think the question is whether they're pitched towards any other property.
So typically with flat roofs, they're relatively flat, but they're pitched just enough to obviously take water and shed it to different directions that will hold, and lead to liters of drainage. So it's typically never a flat roof, otherwise water would just sit there and collect. So it is pitched just enough. To the naked eye, you don't see anything, obviously, but it is pitched enough just to direct water off into the gutter systems.
This house, excuse me, was built in 1848, the existing.
It was.
Has anything, would you have to go to the Historical Commission on something like this? That since we see all our old historical houses being ripped apart and raised and new McMansions being put on the lots, and so we'll have to go through that?
This will be
process?
subject, Mr. Parrish, to going in front of the Historic Commission, correct? So obviously, before any building permit is pulled, whether or not they determine a demo delay or not, but it would have to go through the proper channels to get a building permit, correct?
Okay. And again, I just want to stress this is going to be a single family, even though that there is an in-law suite located in there, and 3 bathrooms with 2 fairly large walk-in closets as well upstairs, and with other closets as well next to the bathroom.
Yeah.
To the bedrooms, but, and a library, I forgot about the
Yeah.
library.
Yes.
So,
You need a library. Yeah, so with again, and I think if we look at the plans, an in-law suite is probably deceiving because there's no kitchen or kitchenette area. It's just basically a primary bedroom that's located on the first floor, as you can see from the plans.
okay.
Well, I don't know that I disagree, but again, the plans say in-law suite, so we rely on the plans.
Yep.
All right, so I went back and counted the bathrooms. I don't know if it's going to be a full or a half bath in the basement. It's big enough to be a full. But, so there's five proposed bathrooms, or 5.5, depending on what happens in the basement, and 4 bedrooms. So the existing structure has 3 bedrooms and 1.5 baths. Have you reached out to the city engineer or the DPW superintendent to make any inquiry whether the existing drainage lines, sewage lines can handle whatever the increased capacity that's being generated?
Not yet. That would be something that once we go for our building permits, we would definitely need to obviously look into through the proper channels, but no, not at this point.
Any other questions from any board members?
I suppose I can wait, so.
Sure.
You
Well,
wanna
let
open it
me
up?
ask, is there anyone in the audience who cares to be heard in connection with this petition for a special permit at 30 Sturgis Street? No? Oh, sure. If you want to be heard, you need to come up to the rail, and if you could identify yourself and your address.
Hi, I'm Donna Colantino, and I live at 36 Sturgis Street.
Thank you.
And my question is, what is the hardship, the legal hardship in this?
Oh, so the applicant's applying for a special permit, and so special permits are different. For the hardship is the standard for a variance, and because this is an existing, pre-existing, it's a very old house that's been in existence since before we even had zoning.
Okay.
And so if the board makes the finding, which I think is justified here, that this is a pre-existing, non-conforming structure, then the board can issue a special permit.
Because of its age, is that what it
Yes,
is?
because it's old,
Okay.
and, you know, there's the thought that we want to allow people to modify their houses if they're quite old,
yeah.
even if the lot, so the lot right now doesn't have enough frontage, so if this were a brand-new piece of property, it would have to have 100 feet of frontage. But because, again, it was built long before there was zoning, the special permit process allows the zoning board to say, well, it's been there for 100 years without 100 feet of frontage, and as long as the proposed structure doesn't create any new violation of the zoning code,
Right.
and the board determines that it's not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood
Right.
than the existing structure, then the board has the ability to issue a special permit.
Right, and hopefully it's not going to create any more water, because we live 2 houses over, and the house behind us gets water in the basement, but we never have. So hopefully it's not going to, but you already had asked about the city engineer and all the different pipes and bathrooms and all that. So I don't know if that even is an issue, but, you know, just anything's a concern with a huge house going up.
Sure,
So
understood.
That's my, okay, that was my question then.
Okay.
Actually, what was this hearing for? What was the legal hardship? Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Is there anyone else who cares to be heard in connection with this petition? Sure, if you could come up and identify yourself and give us your address.
My name is Brian Backey, I live at 23 Sturgis Street, kitty corner to the existing house. I don't have a question about the appeal, but I have a question about the existing structure as it currently has all the windows taken out and they're all wide open, so anybody or anything can go into the house at this existing time, and I was wondering how long it would be until the deconstruction starts so that wouldn't happen.
All right, well, I'm afraid I can't give you any answers to that. I could ask Attorney Giuliano to come back. So you're saying the windows have been removed from the existing
Yes,
structure?
the house is wide open at this juncture right now where anybody could go in there. We think we did see somebody around this past weekend. It was, it was questionable around the neighborhood looking for someplace
no.
to go.
Yeah, I hear you. I'll ask Attorney Giuliano.
Is there any ruling that would, anything that would require it to be boarded up at this time?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I would assume that since it's going to be knocked down anyway, that the owners don't really care if there's people going in trashing it, but it
But
seems
it's
to
a
me that
concern for the neighborhood that somebody
might
could
be a
come in there.
liability issue for
Yeah.
the owner.
But also for the neighborhood, having people go around there, especially where it's such a tight neighborhood with houses around it.
Sure. Again, I'll allow Attorney Giuliano to
Okay,
address
all
your
right,
concern.
thank you. And if you could find out when the planned construction would start, that would help out too.
Sure.
Thank you.
Do you want to respond to that, Attorney Giuliano? And then other people, obviously, you'll have a turn.
So construction will start as soon as the appropriate approvals are in place. I do want to correct one thing that I stated before. My client did go in front of the Historic Commission, and we do have a letter that states, which I can forward tomorrow, that states that it is of not significance.
Okay.
So that has been addressed. But construction will start as soon as possible. And obviously addressing the abutters' concerns, yes, I think it's probably prudent outside of this application to get probably anything boarded up that can be accessed to the inside.
And then how
so.
will the site be protected, if at all? Is there going to be like construction fencing or anything like that?
I think probably immediately it makes sense, a construction fence with boarding up any, grade level windows and doors, just to make sure nobody gets in there, or at least, give them an effort if they're going to get in there and climb second stories and stuff. I think it's important that that gets done
Yeah,
for,
the-
like you said, liability, outside of this application, but liability purposes, that's very important.
Sure. Well, let me ask, because we've talked about the drainage a little bit, and I can't remember, does the current code require that the gutter systems be fed into dry wells?
It does not. So
plan
under
that?
stormwater management, it's only required in four or more properties together, so like a subdivision with four or more. But typically, you are seeing infiltration systems put in on single families just because it makes more sense, and homeowners typically like it as well. But under stormwater management in our code, our ordinances, it's not required for a single family.
All right. And then the other question I have, I haven't really studied the elevations, but the existing house is located at the back of the property, where there seems to be a more significant change in elevation. Has there been any analysis of what, if anything, is going to happen to the water flow when that structure is removed?
So the grade now goes, looking at the plan from left to right, from 97 to 104. So the existing house is at about 99 and ends at about, trying to read, about
101?
101, yep. And so the proposed house will start at about 100 and go till about 104, if I'm looking at it correctly. I'm trying to, 103. So you're looking at a 2-foot deviation in either way, in a similar pattern from
Sure.
left to right, so.
Right, well, and water does go downhill.
Yep.
And this is a significantly larger structure that's going to be shedding more water than the original structure. So I think I can see why the people who are downhill are concerned about the water flow.
Sure. If I may, Madam Chairwoman, the good thing is that with a larger roof, you can catch that rainwater, whereas if it's a smaller roof or a smaller structure, you're letting the ground actually catch it and then just take it to where it goes. With a roof, a larger roof, you're collecting it, and now you're allowing it to go where you tell it to go. And I think that's sort of a benefit in this case. So, to the neighbors who are sitting there, west of the plan, I'll say. My eyes are becoming bad. So we're able to, catch more of it, infiltrate it at a better rate in less flow, and then put it on site that'll infiltrate so they're not getting erosion.
But that's only if you put it into a system as opposed to just let the gutters, if the gutters are pointing downhill,
Yeah.
it's going to go downhill. So is there going to be a collection system and an infiltration system, or?
There will be, and I think that was on the plan. So the smart thing, and obviously the obvious thing to do, is to collect it more so at the 104, let it go infiltrate, and then that way you give it a longer run so that it seeps into the groundwater before it gets to the other property, versus giving it a shorter run, collecting it on the left or westerly side of the house, and not giving it as much as a span. So certainly we can address that with any conditions or anything that the board may wish.
All right, so thank you for addressing that
course.
question. Let me open it back up now. Is there anyone else who cares to be heard in connection with this petition at 30 Sturgis Street?
Good evening. Christopher Delaney, 36 Sturgis Street. I've noticed that we have a really, I'm not sure if it's spring-fed, because a lot of the houses in back of me and to the left, they have sump pumps in their basements, and I'm concerned with the new construction if they move whatever small river is underneath the water and it starts coming into my basement, is there any feet I have to stand on, or is that something I have to deal with myself?
So I'm sorry, but I don't really know, I'm not looking at the aerial, so I don't understand where your house is in connection with the property. What number are you again?
To the west?
Sorry, I'm directionally challenged, right? So, you know, I can
All
do
right,
left,
so
right, up,
their-
down.
Their house is right here.
Yeah,
Mine is 2 down from their house,
okay.
down the hill.
All right,
And
what number again?
36.
Okay, I see you now on the aerial.
And I was saying that there are several houses to the left of me, out and back of me, that have some pumps, and they run even when it's not raining. And I just want to know, I don't have any water in my basement, I never had. And if I start to get water in there, is there any legal action I can take in case I have to have some pumps put in?
Honestly, I'm not in a position to give you legal advice.
So
Answer
you're
to
saying
that
if-
is,
if
I don't
they-
know.
If they do if they do the construction work and all of a sudden my house starts taking on water,
Mm-hmm.
so I'd have to get an attorney and do something like that? I'm asking because I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I don't know that I'm in any position to tell you whether to hire an attorney or not. If there's a change, you know, if you start getting water in the future where you don't now. And I don't know what causes your neighbors to need sump pumps. I can't tell if their house is sitting like in a
There
bowl.
are springs underground and they just flow out all the time. A couple of the houses, you can't even walk out back, they're so saturated.
Right, but is it because there's a change in elevation and they're in a, because there's a number of properties in Woburn where their yards are kind of shaped like bowls, and so the water
No, this
collects
is,
in the
I
low
mean,
level.
actually, they're on a hill.
Right, but these are pieces of property that have different elevations on the property. So, again.
Yeah, so what you're saying, if they're in a bowl shape. they would
Sure, or
collect
if people have terraced, right, if they've like terraced and built, you know, put walls up, and the drainage comes and it, all right, water's gonna go downhill, so if there are drainage pipes in people's retaining walls that go into people's backyards, is the water collecting because of that, as opposed to an underground spring? I have no idea.
Okay.
I wish I could give you a better
Okay,
answer.
I was just,
But what I can tell you, water is considered a common enemy under Massachusetts law, right? So everyone wants to keep water out of their, right, out of their
Right,
property. But obviously, there is a risk if a property owner does something that directs water onto your property. Which is why I asked what the applicant plans to do with the runoff from the roof.
right, because one of my neighbors, he had a pipe going out back for his basement, and the neighbor that was adjacent to him asked him to move it because he has water in his basement
Right,
too.
yep.
And it pumps out of a 3-inch PVC pipe right on Arlington Road.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so-
what's the neighborhood over off of Kilby that's called the Black Snake neighborhood? Right, because it was built on wetlands, so everyone, you know, everyone had a sump pump, and all those black pipes were outside and, you know, feeding it back into the wetlands that had been filled in and built upon, but,
Yeah. Well, thank you for answering my question.
all right, thank you.
Councilor Joanne Campbell, 45 Arlington Road. I'm here on behalf of some of the residents in the area. How is everybody? Some of their main concerns, obviously you're hearing about the drainage. We're talking about a little house, and now we're going to have this very large house put in its place. Their concern is with the runoff, as you're talking about, and what's going to happen to that, and are they going to be able to somehow keep it as much as possible in their yard, obviously without destroying their yard, with some sort of filtration. And I'm hoping that will be able to take place, because as you did say, it's a very steep hill, and that's why even when it's not raining, it's actual water that's coming from the yards from, say, a couple days before that, just slowly seeping down, and that's what's happening and getting into people's basements. So that's their main concern. The other concern, and I was not able to see, was that the house was going to be too close to the street. I wasn't sure.
No, it meets the setback.
It does for the
Yeah.
front.
20, so the plans show it as 28.7
Okay.
to the front lot line.
Okay, great. All right, that's good. That will ease their mind. That's really about it, because they're meeting everything else, all the setbacks.
Sure, yeah, I mean, it's a
They're
huge
meeting.
piece of property.
They just want to make sure that it's thought that with some sort of filtration system, especially because of the size of the house and the size of the roof.
Well, and
is
actually,
quite large.
there's another thing that I'm going to ask, I don't want to cut you off, but I have some
No.
more questions for
Yeah. That's really it for
Attorney
me.
Giuliano.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thank you very much for your time. Attorney Giuliano, there are a number of decks and driveways, and I thought something that's marked as a deck, I think is really just like a paved or, decorative stone driveway. But it seems to me that there is a significant amount of impermeable surface now that's being added. So that raises like another drainage concern. But can you tell me, because I'm looking at, oh, of course. So it's the last sheet, exterior views, it doesn't have a number.
GI-02, G1-02 on the architecturals. That one probably,
I don't see any, I'm looking at the last page.
oh, sorry.
Of the package, and it has the 3D northwest aerial view and the 3D southwest aerial view,
Yep.
and it shows basically what looks like a giant driveway. So it's an impermeable surface in front of the garage as well as the center entrance to the home, all the way. It's an impermeable surface from the edge of the garage all the way to the retaining wall. And then in the back, so they're labeled as decks, but it doesn't look like it's going to be, it looks like they're paved as opposed to, and paved's not the right word.
Yeah, no, I think that is, because with the elevations there.
Pavers.
Yeah, some type of paver or decorative stone,
Sure.
as opposed to, like a wooden deck.
So I, just asking the builder, his intent is to make wood decks, so anything that's labeled deck would be wood. Obviously, the driveway would be impervious area.
All right, but, okay, so it's the driveway and the patio, those are impervious?
When you say patio, the one in front, the front
So,
view?
yeah, so now I switched back to the plot plan that shows the proposed house, and it's got the driveway that's right in front of the garage.
Yes, okay.
And then beside the driveway is something that's labeled as
Patio.
patio,
Yep.
which is another impervious surface.
Just want to make sure we're on the same page with where we are. But yes, so anything labeled deck on the site plan is wood or AZAC equivalent.
Yep.
The patio would be a paver,
Okay.
just like the driveway. That's correct.
Okay. All right, and
So there's a discrepancy anyway in the two drawings, right? The plot plan shows a patio, but the architectural drawings show the deck. Right?
Yeah, G102.
Yeah, it's
G102 versus the plot.
Right.
plot
yeah.
plan.
Yeah, deck, I mean, it's used synonymously, obviously, in these plans together, but, for definition purposes, in the site plan, anything labeled patio that's going to be pavers, whereas deck is going to be wood or AZAC equivalent.
All right,
So,
so,
so what's the area gonna be? Is it gonna be wood or is it gonna be concrete?
Which one? So the ones on, if we're looking at the site plan, the two decks that are west and south are going to be wood. The patio that's next to the driveway is going to be proposed paver.
Okay.
With the
Even though
driveway.
it says deck on
Yeah. Yep.
1.02,
Yep.
right?
yeah.
Okay.
All right, and so who would be the appropriate professional to design the drainage system and infiltration? Who does that?
Usually an engineer through the builder.
Okay, and has one been retained?
A builder has been retained. I'm not sure who the builder uses specifically for an engineer that does the calculations, but somebody will be doing those, of course, when they design these.
All right, so again, to the extent the board is inclined to grant the relief sought, I would propose that be made a condition, and, and obviously, as you know, and as your clients know, that people are really concerned.
Sure.
About
Absolutely.
the water not ending up in their basement or their backyard, so it's gonna be in everybody's best interest to make sure that doesn't happen.
Understandably. The only thing I would ask, Madam Chairwoman, is that unless it's determined that it's more detrimental to the area by the city engineer when when a permit is pulled, then I would say absolutely, we're all in favor of it. But again, if the engineer says that, putting an infiltration system is actually detrimental for whatever reason, I'm not an engineer, but I can't imagine that being the case, but
All right, well,
again-
then maybe we'll just continue this matter till we have an engineer go and assess it and make that determination.
yeah, so basically, we would take or we could take the chance, you're saying, so it's,
Well,
Yeah.
I, like you, can't imagine that an engineer would look at this
Yeah.
and look at all the increase in the number of impermeable surfaces compared to the existing structure.
Sure.
And say, oh, yeah, no, we don't want to use an infiltration system. But it's not my property, and it's up to the, it's up to the
no, I think,
owners to
again,
determine.
based on my experience and knowledge, I think we could probably put that on as a condition.
Let me ask, I didn't mean to cut anybody off. Is there anybody else in the audience who cares to be heard in connection with this petition?
I did have a question.
Of course.
There is no other speaker. Just, you beat me to the punch on that question. My concern on the drainage is along that front area more than anything, because, essentially, even though the G102 says deck, you've already indicated that means patio, but essentially, isn't that really an extension of the driveway?
Yeah, essentially, it'll act as an extension for a driveway, but not for driveway purposes. So typically, there's ways to obviously direct it. That's going to be pitched clearly in a way that is favorable to my client and obviously the neighborhood. That makes sense.
Well, the concern is because that,
Right.
right now, if you're looking at the plot plan, it shows to the west side, it shows a drive. I assume that's going away.
Yeah, that's the existing driveway to
Right.
the old garage.
That's a
right?
very narrow driveway leading into the property.
Correct.
Everything else is grass out front. That's now being replaced by a wider driveway and a even wider patio, so there's very little grass left in the front. So I do think some type of drainage system in that area is going to be very important, because that water is just going to fly right down that hill.
Yeah, so, my recommendation to the board would be either some sort of, system, or they have pervious pavement, which obviously acts as grass. You probably have seen them all around. It basically sucks up the water through holes in the materials itself, and it basically goes into the ground when it falls onto the
Yeah.
pavement. So that's certainly something that we would do.
Okay, that's it.
Well, my concern with that is that there's now going to be a retaining wall that didn't exist before. And so, in the example that I gave to Mr. Delaney, I think, who came up, right, you build a retaining wall, there's going to be a drainage line in the retaining wall, and all the water's going to come out of that drainage line, and it's going to go down. And so now, right, we've got the impervious area on top with this retaining wall that looks like it's going to be a pretty good height based on the, design plans. And so if I'm the person who lives, so if I'm at 32, and I guess 36 as well, yeah, I would be concerned that now all that water is going to be coming onto my property. So I think that might be the perfect place for a dry well, or, you know, like, I'm forgetting what they call the tanks, or, yeah. Thank you to the one who actually knows construction to help me out. But that would be a good spot to collect that water.
Yeah, or, I agree, or you could feed it into the larger infiltration system that also catches the roof runoff with that. But there's certainly a million designs that
All right,
we
and
can
that's,
come up
and that's
with
what
that-
we're gonna have the engineer who actually
Yeah,
is his or her area of expertise design.
yep, exactly.
All right, any other questions or
So
comments?
are we gonna actually see these new drawings with the design of these catch basins, or whatever they're called, and
I
just continue it to the next meeting, or are we gonna put a condition on it?
It's completely up to the board, but I think a condition that a professional engineer design it is all the protection that the,
And the city engineer will have to take a look at that, just to make sure that,
I honestly don't know if
Don't know if that'll-
if a
The,
PE would have to run it, I don't know.
Yeah, if I may add to that, Madam
Go ahead.
Chairwoman. So what will happen is, the building department will check, obviously, the special permit, notice there's a condition, make sure the building permit cross-references is the condition, and make sure that there is a design system in place when they pull for their permit. So there is a check and balance that'll ensure that there is a design system when a permit is pulled. So that doesn't just get left.
Actually, if I could say,
Yes, please.
yeah, I totally agree with there's a lot of runoff on the roof, right, where that water's going, and there's nothing on the plan. But I also think the grades are not 100% correct in that, because I think when you're looking at the west side of the, west side, it's almost, you know, a lot of runoff coming. So we're talking about the neighbors, but within the property itself, there's water running towards the house as well as almost like a pond in the back. And so I'm not really sure if all the grades are, can we look at the aerial grades versus what's existing to what's being proposed? Or what's existing, but there's really no proposed grades being shown? Like what the grades are going to be after the house is built?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the existing grades, obviously those were done by Mr. Farrell, and those were checked before they were certified on the plan.
My other question was, I'm assuming, and probably it's an easy answer, that all utilities that are leading towards the existing house or garage will be not only abandoned, well, instead of abandoned, be removed. There's not gonna be any pipes sitting in the ground, because that could cause some type
Yep.
of a sinkhole in the later years.
Oh, what, like the water service line?
Sanitary, electric, water, whatever's there currently will be removed.
All right, so that should be a condition.
Can I ask a question? Does the builder think that they'll be putting a sump pump in the basement or a French drain?
I can have them come up and answer that, but just from my experience, I would say usually that's a site call when they start digging for the slab and see where the water table is at. And then if the water table is obviously at a level that is a concern, they would add a sump pump and make sure that it is taken out, obviously by code, and not just dripping to a catch basin on Sturgis or somewhere else. But yeah, so that's usually a field call.
Okay.
just add one more thing. I think there's just a lot of questions on the drainage when it comes,
Yep.
especially with the roof water, where it's all gonna land, and maybe it's not so much a drawing from the engineer, but an engineer coming to discuss, talk about it in the next meeting to explain what their thoughts are when it comes to the runoff, because there's so many roof lines here.
Right, and
When, you know, where is all the water coming from the roof, all the different levels to the patios? It's all achievable, right? It's just a matter of how it's going to be designed.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be fine with that. But how does the board wish to proceed?
well, I wanted to bring up, and I don't know if we could use this as a condition as well, is the height, and it almost appears like you could knock that great room that's there, mezzanine area, and you could build another second floor onto those two wings, and then perhaps maybe even down the road, even put a third floor in there, just because of the way the basement could be. So this could potentially in the future grow into a monstrosity. I don't know if the board has any thoughts on just keeping it that as-built plans are as it is, and that, well, I guess if you wanted to go higher in the future, you'd have to, but again, if you stayed under the 35-foot,
Yeah,
I believe you'd have to come to this board anyways
Are
if
there
you had to
any-
go higher.
100%. 100%, yeah, we would have
Given
to.
all the changes in grade, I don't know, I mean, there are no height, there's no information on the height on any of these
I
plans,
saw
right?
23 foot somewhere.
A4.01 has the elevations, Madam Chairwoman.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I got it.
That's okay. And then, actually, all the A4 sheets have all the elevations from
Yep, I got it.
each side.
But I would think it would be substantially detrimental, should this look like a big, flat box, like another, I don't know if they're, what are they called, three families further up the street? They certainly wouldn't be that high, but if you know what I mean, I don't think it would look nice for that neighborhood.
So if I may just interject real quickly on that one. So, yeah, what we're proposing is under this special permit. Anything else that is altered because it's still an existing non-conforming lot would still have to come to the board, where the board would make that decision at that time. But we're proposing 23 feet at this point.
Yeah,
and
no, I mean, I
Yeah.
totally understand, it just looks like a design that's just
It's, yeah,
15 years down the road, yeah, let's build a third floor here, and
Yeah.
we'll expand the second floor here, and
yeah,
just make it all
yeah, absolutely. It's like,
three
it's,
floors and keep it under 35 feet,
sure.
you know?
It's like any other house, right, that has, you
Right.
know, it can be done anywhere, but I agree.
Thank you.
So, so I think since there are a number of issues on the plans that need to be revised, in terms of if there is going to be exterior access via bulkhead, it needs to be shown on the plans. And the reference to the deck, I guess, on the plans needs to be changed to match the plot plan, you know, patio versus deck. So I would suggest it's appropriate to continue this matter so that we can have the plans revised and made accurate. And that would also give the applicant some time to confer with an engineer. And I don't know how long it would take to come up with the design plan, but at least then the board would have some more certainty. And I appreciate your point about, like, the various roof lines and where those are gonna go and drain into. So I would suggest that this be continued till next month, and that we get answers to those questions, as well as to have the plans kind of corrected.
And if, and Madam Chairwoman, if I may confirm and clarify, is the board looking to condition the drainage? Or, I mean, the board's not looking for a full-fledged drainage analysis and design. It's just a condition that an infiltration system is put in on the decision.
I would absolutely require a condition of a full-fledged drainage system designed by the appropriate professional.
A condition.
As a condition.
Okay.
But given the number of questions about the drainage, and particularly the, you know, these are the elevations right now, but when you look at what's gonna be there after, there's gonna be, you know, retaining walls and I mean, the decks themselves are gonna be up at an elevation that looks, you know, based on the plans, several feet above grade on the one on the side. I'd like to know how high that retaining wall is gonna be next to the driveway. And I would like some more information on, you know, how exactly are the 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 4 different roof lines. How is that gonna be collected and where's it gonna go?
If I could also add, it could be as simple as a narrative
Yeah,
from an engineer with a roofing plan of the house, showing the slopes of the roof, of how the water is being shed off each roof, and if it's all falling onto the front roof, and then from there it's being,
Like a map of, yeah, the collection.
it
Yep.
could be simply just a roof, you know, some type of a roofing.
yeah, I mean, they're gonna need this, obviously,
Yeah.
at some point, and I think it's beneficial to just, so that we have a better understanding of what's gonna happen on the site.
Okay.
So that's my suggestion, but of course, you're the applicant, and so if you want us to vote, we'll do that. If you want to ask for a continuance, we'll do that too.
Yeah, we would request a continuance if the board inclines.
Okay.
Make a vote.
All right, so then we have the form that you need to sign.
And we're back, April 10th is our next meeting, only 3 weeks from now, so.
That's fine.
Yeah, thank you.
It is the 10th?
Yeah, remember we moved it
We moved it.
up? I don't remember.
Because of Marcy Street,
Yes, you're right.
Oh,
because he wasn't gonna be here.
oh, that's right. He was-
Petitioner wasn't
And
gonna
then
be
Yeah,
here
he was
that
gonna be
week.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Sure, you need to come up to the,
Hi, it's Donna Colantino, 36 Sturgis Street.
Sure.
So the question I have is, why is there no grass? Why do they need a patio going right up to the sidewalk where all the other houses are set back a little and there's, you know, grass or whatnot? So it
well, they
looks.
don't, they want a patio.
So the patio, so where there could be drainage, it's not gonna be, so they're kind of covering up as much,
Well, right, so
Much
they're
more
creating,
space
they're
than-
creating an impervious surface.
right.
And so the requirement that there be a drainage plan in
Right.
place would remediate the fact that now
Right.
they're creating more.
But that's another option, is allowing grass and having, you know,
Sure,
a
but it's the
that's not what
property
you guys
owners.
want, I guess.
Sure,
Is
but
it
it's
a
the property
driveway?
owner's decision
Is
as
it
to
a
what they want to
driveway?
do.
So is it a driveway or a patio?
There's going to be
Going-
both.
Okay, going right up to the sidewalk, though, that's
Yes, that's what's shown on the plans.
patio. Interesting.
Okay. Did you sign the form?
I did.
All right.
Make a motion to continue next meeting?
Is there a second? All right, all in favor of continuing this to the April 10th meeting? All right, did you get that? Was
I
all
vote,
fine?
yeah.
All right, so again, thank you for reminding us that we're a little early
It's fine.
next month, so April 10th.
That's fine.
Okay, all right,
Thank you.
thank you very
everyone.
much. All right, the next item on the agenda is the petition of Richard Lechulis, 5 Torrey Road, seeking a special permit to construct a porch for a pre-existing non-conforming structure at 707 Main Street.
Good evening. Richard
evening.
Lachulis, and I own the property at 707 Main Street, and I'm here before the board to ask to put a roof over an existing porch on the front of the house to make it look more like a farmer's porch, and to upgrade the property and improve it. The lot's approximately 21,000 square feet. The entire lot is lower than the grade of Kaposi and Main Street, so there won't be any runoff problems onto the street or off the property. My goal is to clean the house up. It's been let go a long time. And a year and a half or so ago, I put a new roof on it. Now I'd like to do vinyl siding and improve the house.
Okay. All right, and so we have your petition. And I confess that when I first looked at the plan, it was too small for me to actually kind of really understand, so I had it enlarged. So the proposed porch, is it the same depth as the existing kind of deck that's on the structure now, or is
The
it?
deck that's there will be replaced and not made any larger, and the existing roof will be over that.
All right, so the existing deck that's there now is
Yes,
6.5 feet?
there are some photographs there.
Yeah, but, so my question is so the deck that's shown in the photos, right, so it's got the little covered porch at the end,
Yes,
is that 6.5 feet deep?
it's approximately somewhere between 6.5 and 7.5 feet deep.
Okay, and so the new proposed one is gonna be 6.5 feet, according to this
Very
plan?
close, well, it'll be just a little bit deeper. There's an existing brick wall that supports the front porch, and the building department wants new sonotubes because they don't know the depth of those
Right.
bricks. So up against the front of the brick, there'll be new sonotubes
Yep,
to support a new deck and a new roof.
okay,
So it will be approximately 1 foot deeper than it is now.
okay.
Setback off Main Street is about 69 feet.
Oh, yeah, I know you have plenty of frontage, but my question, though, is, so any approval we do is based on this plan?
Yes,
And the plan says the new deck and roof is going to be 6.5 feet from the existing, from the front facade of the existing house. And so if you're telling me it's going to be a foot, that's why I asked, is the existing deck 6.5 feet? Because if it needs to be 7.5 feet because of the sonic tubes, you might have to, it'll be up to the building commissioner to determine if that's a minor modification or not. Do you want the enlarged version of the?
I have I didn't bring the large version of the building plans.
Here, well, it's a lot easier to read.
There's,
So this is what's on the plan. So
Yes.
my point is, this says it's gonna be 6.5 feet. So
Yes.
that's why I asked, is it the same? It really doesn't matter to me.
There will just be sonotubes directly against the brick wall
He's gonna have to do
here. And the deck will be extended like this. Now, the deck and the existing roof, I already have a building permit to replace.
Okay, well, let me just show this.
6.5 to
I just
7.5.
don't want you to be
That's
in a
8 feet.
spot where.
No, I understand, and thank you.
Doesn't match, and you might have to come back. These is the sonic tubes are gonna go here, so it's gonna.
Is the brick wall staying?
You have,
So, it was not,
dash line over
there was a smaller plan that was part of the package. She
That's-
said she
that's
couldn't,
8 feet.
she said
Yeah,
she
that's
couldn't
the-
read it, so she came in yesterday and got a larger version of it.
Existing 8-foot roof.
Yeah,
So,
but that's a 6.5 for the deck.
yeah. But
Is that brick wall staying?
The brick wall is gonna stay
The sonotubes
The sonotubes
are
are
going
gonna be-
outside?
right in front of it, against it,
the existing roof's outside.
because we don't know how
It's gonna
deep the
continue
brick
the roof.
wall goes.
Yeah.
And the existing roof that is over the door, are you just going to extend that the full way?
That will be replaced so it all matches.
Yeah, okay, that's what I mean. So it's going to go the full length. It's
The
based
full-
essentially
the full
the
length,
same.
yes.
Same thing, okay.
But this one says existing roof 7.
All right, let me ask, is there anyone in the audience? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a question before I opened it up?
Yeah, just, how long have you owned the property?
I've owned it approximately 17 years.
17, okay. And is someone in there now?
Yes, it's a two-family house. It is rented. I've had a lot of personal issues that prevented me from getting to it and repairing it.
Okay,
And I'm at the point now where I can get at it and can repair it. Actually, I took care of my mother-in-law and my mother for 15 years. And then COVID hit, and then my wife passed away. And I'm just getting back on my feet now, and I'd like to fix the house. And it looks run down.
yeah,
And I'd like to put, I
Sure
already have the
does.
permit for new siding. I did a new roof a couple of years ago. And I have a permit to replace the deck and replace the roof that's there. I'm asking to make the roof the full length of the deck to
Right.
protect the deck from the weather.
so is this application strictly for the deck and the roof, or is, the new siding
I
and,
already have the permit for siding and to replace the existing deck, showing the sonotubes where they are, and replace the existing roof. I'm asking to extend the roof, the full length of the house, over the deck.
got it. Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who cares to be heard in connection with this request at 707 Main Street? How does the board wish to proceed?
I think it's a wonderful proposal. You're keeping the old house instead of
I was brought up to save the old, not tear it down.
Huh?
I was brought up to save the old, not tear
I
it
hear
down.
I really like it. I'm for it. I do in that one drawing see that 8-foot overhang on the roof, so, I mean, I think that should be able to cover things.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. I think it absolutely meets the standard. I'm in favor of it. How does the board wish to proceed?
I'll make a motion to approve the special permit.
A second?
All in favor of the pending motion?
Aye.
Okay, that passed. All right, so a decision needs to be prepared and filed with the city clerk's office, and then there's an appeal period of 20 days. So I know you said you already have some type of a permit, but the permit to construct the new deck and the new roof.
Yes, I'll have to go and apply for the additional roof.
Yeah.
I haven't applied for that yet.
Sure. So there's a 20-day appeal period, so no building permit would be issued until
understand.
that 20-day appeal period expires, okay?
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Good luck.
Thank you, everybody.
All righty, have a good night. The next item on the agenda is the petition of Daniel and Alexandra Monroe, 35 Hiawatha Road, seeking a special permit to put an addition onto the single-family home at 35 Hiawatha Road. Hi.
Good evening. My name's Daniel Monroe. I'm here with my wife Alchandra and my daughter, who's the one who's been snoring back here. My
We're
parents-
jealous.
Yes. We're here tonight to petition to add a addition to the side of our home.
Sure. So we have your plans, and when I looked at the plans, so I wrote down my notes. Looks like a separate dwelling unit in an R1 zone. And so I reached out to the building commissioner to get his input, and he and I have a kind of similar view. We're not always aligned, but the building commissioner's view is that because there's this kind of, I think of it as a mudroom, but it's called the entry foyer, because there's this separate space in between the proposed addition and the existing structure, it to him seems more like it is a separate dwelling unit as opposed to the in-law unit that the building commissioner has developed an interpretation that allows what he calls an in-law unit, even though there's nothing in the building code on it. But his interpretation that in order to be an in-law unit, there has to be a direct connection between the existing structure and the proposed addition. And so in his view, having that space in the middle kind of muddies the waters in a way that he doesn't feel all that comfortable with. And to me, and you know, a lot of this is just a matter of optics, but you are in a single-family, an R1 zone. And even if the board, so there's 5 people on the board, I'm just one vote, okay? So other people may disagree with me. So even if the board votes in favor of this and this plan, the board typically has a standard condition that it would impose that says, hey, even though you're building something that looks like a separate dwelling unit, and it looks like a 2-family structure in an R1 zone, you're not approved to use this as a 2-family structure. It's always going to be a single-family use. The language says that the city of Woburn can come inspect. And the reason why I'm going into all this detail is because the building commissioner, his view of an in-law apartment is, again, there's got to be a direct connection and an opening. There's got to be an opening, a direct connection that's not walled off in order for him to consider it an in-law apartment that's used by a family member, okay? That's his interpretation. So I wouldn't necessarily, and again, even if and I don't know what the building commissioner would do, but I don't know if in the future, say we have a different building commissioner who's got a different interpretation, and there's some issue, and I always use the example of, listen, I don't know if you're still going to own this house 50 years from now, right? 50 years from now, it could be someone else who owns the house and is renting it out, and it's treated as a separate apartment, which is not allowed in an R1 zone. So anyway, I just wanted to share. I feel like this design really doesn't comply with how the building commissioner has interpreted, what I think is a very useful and productive use of single-family homes that allows people to have in-law apartments so that their relatives can stay with them, and typically, it's parents or something like that. I think this really kind of pushes the boundary, and to me, it looks too much like a separate apartment. So I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to see if any other members of the board have any questions or comments.
Well, that was gonna be my first question, is it an in-law apartment? I know what I guess you mean with the, that one entry connection type of.
Yeah, because I've seen it in other, I've seen it, I actually, I had a client who unfortunately had a construction dispute, and I went, to look at their house, and they had built a very large addition, like very large, it's like a 2-family home, and they put a very large addition on it, but you couldn't really tell from the outside because and it was up on the 2nd floor. That was the direct opening into the grandparents' part of the house. So you went up to the 2nd floor and you walked down the hall and you were in the grandparents' part of the house. Anyway.
I brought my father here, who's also going to be the builder.
Hi,
So he
welcome.
can a little bit more.
Barry Monroe. I've been speaking with the building department and stuff like that. That's why there's no door entering the in-law. And then that other wall's gonna come out, if you see the windows coming out, and that doorway's coming off, so they'll be able to walk directly in. And that's where my wife and I are gonna be.
Sure.
So,
I think the sense of an in-law, though, is that you would continue to use the main existing stairway, your main entrance there, and be able to access it beyond just putting up a small little addition to the side entryway of the
That-
existing house, but
that
You know what I
is
mean.
this existing door to the back of the addition, right? I mean, the house.
yeah.
So, and we're trying to connect it because the reason why we're here, because it's non-conforming lot on the other side of the house. That was 9.8 instead of 12. That's why we had to come for this. And that back area that they have is gonna be open to myself, my son and his wife and my granddaughter to walk. That's why we're gonna be there. So it's, the reason the only way we could attach addition to it, because there's no room on the other side. So that's why we could put the addition against the house, but that we'd never have access. You'd have to walk the back and behind the house to get to it.
I guess I don't understand what you just said. Did you just say that you could not put the addition?
If I put
On-
the addition tight to the house,
Yeah,
the door to the area is there anyways. We'd have to, if we put a door in the back of the house, or if I put a door in the front of the new addition, we'd have to walk. See what I'm saying? There's no other door except the front door to the existing house, and this back door that's already opening up. You see where it says, door to be removed and wall to be removed? That's gonna be all access to our place.
I see door to be removed.
Yep, and that wall
window
that's
to be removed.
the wall to be infill or removed, opening. So that's gonna be in the mudroom into the house.
Be an entry foyer into there,
Right.
and the half wall there where it's the door, and then the half wall that's there, we're gonna remove that too, so it'll be about a 6-foot opening into there,
Yeah,
which will also have a door out to a back
and there's,
porch.
to a screened-in porch for everybody. And that's a cased opening, there's no door going into the in-law or our area.
I just ask a question, so if I'm understanding you correctly, so when you go in that door,
Yep. You go left or
you
right.
go left, so it's wide open. If you go left, you go into the in-law section.
Right.
You go right,
You
you
go
go
into
into the
their
main
house.
house. You
Yeah,
said there's
living
no wall or no
No.
door. Okay, so it's almost like a hallway.
Pretty much.
It's gonna be, yeah, I mean, there's a porch there now, but it's part of their house.
Is it you said it's a porch now. Is it like a covered porch or
Yes, it is.
screened-in porch?
It's
No.
full windows and everything. We treat it as a porch because we have a slider on the inside of our house, and the slider goes out onto that. It's not a porch, it's
You
just.
mean, what, the
Where the door's gonna be removed?
entry foyer, are you asking about that area?
Well, yeah, so if you go, it looks like if you go into the entry foyer.
Yep,
And then you're saying that that door's gonna be removed and that wall's gonna be removed.
yep.
And that's a screened-in porch that's
No, the
right
screened-in
there.
porch
No,
is
it's
going on the
behind
back.
No, I know, but what's existing there
That
now?
is it's.
Finished room.
It's a finished room. It has windows on all of it, heat. We use it as a playroom. We just always refer to it as a porch because
I
it
see.
has a slider for us to get from our living room into it. But we leave it open because it's just completely heated and we use it as a playroom.
Okay.
All right. And then what's in front of your playroom?
What's in,
That's our living room. So we're gonna take that wall down and we basically use those as, Caroline uses the playroom porch area and we use the other area as our living room. That's where our TV and couches and that's where we
is the
spend it.
kitchen on the end here?
The kitchen,
Yeah,
the
it's-
kitchen is actually that large area
you can
directly
see the countertops.
connected to the living room. So our kitchen, our dining room, and our living room make an L, just like that
Right,
out the
is
side.
it, I'm looking at A1.0, is it what's labeled existing building? NIC?
So the.
Yes.
Above the words, there's a countertop where there was. there's a
Oh,
window.
okay, gee, sorry, yeah, I got it.
So that's our kitchen, and then directly in front of that is the living room, the dining room. And then the far side of that structure is the 2 bedrooms that we use.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, usually the plans show what the rest of the structure is, the existing structure, not just the proposed structure.
Yeah, the kitchen's open at the living room, and the living room's open out to the playroom.
Let me ask, is there anyone in the audience who cares to be heard in connection with the request for a special permit at 35 Hiawatha Road?
Good evening, Madam Chair. Good evening, members of the board. My name's Tom Brady. We are the house next door at 33. We were in front of your fine board probably about a decade ago because we did a front farmer's porch off our house. All of our houses up there were built in the 50s, we're told. So our 2 lots were the last ones that were built because they're filled with ledge, which is all sorts of fun. Our house is going to probably be similar in scale, and their house, I should say, will be similar in scale and scope to ours, what ours is now. Because over the years, we started like the rest of us with essentially a small, very small ranch. Then we put a big old family room on the right side of our house. And then we put a mudroom on the left side of our house. And then we put a farmer's porch across the front. Their predecessors, the Haleys, Rich was a pretty handy guy. So the house is laid out a little bit different. So I respect exactly what you're saying about the plans. When I looked at the plans, it took me a little while to get oriented. When you're walking there, none of us use our front door in the neighborhood. We all use the door that's off the driveway. So when you walk in the door off the driveway now, their house, they did it very differently than ours. Rich loved open spaces. So you walk in now, and he described it perfectly. You step into the family room, and then the kitchen is wide open, and then the dining room is wide open. So the plans that they've put together, I think, reflect it well, because you're going to walk in, and now it's going to be open on the left for the in-law side. And the porch that you were just asking about in the back was for most of our time up there, and our son is now 18 and looking at colleges. Most of our time up there, that was a porch. That was a true porch. And only about 2 or 3 years before they bought it, Rich got some storm windows and closed it in and tried to make it a little bit weather tight, probably in anticipation of selling it. So I think from character-wise, from width-wise, I think it's going to be complementary and not out of scale or character with the neighborhood. I think the ledge is a legitimate hardship. In my full-time arena, I respect your service. I served on a commission in Woburn for many, many years. I am a full-time administrator in another community, and I think the condition you spoke of makes a whole lot of sense, which is a standard condition, which says, look, it may look like a separate dwelling unit, may smell like a separate dwelling unit, but the fact of the matter is that you're in an R1 zone and you can't use it. So it just reinforces what you said. So we're in full support. They've been terrific neighbors for us. We not only have an 18-year-old son, but we have 3 corgis in the house at a time, all duly registered, but it gets kind of loud. Caroline's been a great caretaker for our corgis, coming over and saying hi. But I would encourage the board, to the extent that you can, to take a fairly open view of this. I think the condition sounds like a great idea, and we're in full support. I appreciate your time.
Thank you as well.
Say one
Of
thing
course.
in closing. So we moved from right down the street in Crescent Park, right on the border of Winchester. It was a condo. And my wife's mother still lives there, so it's less than a 2-minute drive to her house. And my parents live in Arlington now, and that's why we're trying to get them over with us. We want to have another kid. We want to have more family. And the part about this neighborhood that we love so much is our best friends now live next to us on the left-hand side. We have Tom, who's wonderful, on the right-hand side. The woman who lives across the street from us works at BU where my wife works. We've just really turned it into a place that we don't anticipate leaving.
Sure.
It's a wonderful neighborhood. We're on a cul-de-sac. It's quiet, and we love our neighbors. So this is something that we're hoping to have so that we can remain in this neighborhood. We really just truly love it, and we're trying to make it fit to the needs that we have as a growing family. So that was just really my part of the petition here. So I just want to make sure that was said.
Sure. Thank you. How does the board wish to proceed?
motion to grant special permit with the standard wording that we have for such projects, stating that it's single-family use.
Second.
All right, all in favor of the pending motion? All opposed? All right, so that passed 4-1. A decision needs to be prepared and filed in the city clerk's office. And then after that's filed, there's a 20-day appeal period. So no building permit will issue until that appeal period expires, okay? And if you have any questions about the timing, you can reach out to Mr. Vincent. All right, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, the next item on our agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes for February. I confess that I missed the PDF and haven't finished reviewing them, but it's my understanding that Member Ryan has a correction.
I hardly think you need to confess anything when it comes to these minutes.
I'm taking the night off of the meeting minutes.
I just had a minor one on page 4, about almost halfway down. Brian asked if the language to the effect that the wooded area will remain a buffer zone and the city, it says will monitor it. I think I had said maintain it.
Oh, so the sentence I'm looking at says, Member Ryan said he is asking if any documentation can be worded so the city will take care of the buffer
No,
area.
it's a little higher
That's a
than
little
that.
lower.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
So
sorry.
a couple lines up.
Language to the effect that the wooding area will remain in a buffer zone and the city will,
Maintain it,
Oh,
which I
okay.
think goes with
that makes sense.
the statement a little further down. That's it.
All right, anyone else have any,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended by others.
You had a few, didn't you?
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the discussion of our application requirements. So I had given, I forget when, I had sent our clerk, now I can't remember if it was, if I sent it or you sent it, but after we had done our kind of review here and gotten to what we thought was the end result, we sent it to Mr. Vincent, who sent it to the building commissioner and the city solicitor. And apparently, the city solicitor asked for my input on March 1st, but I was on trial and I didn't look at anything that I received. So I looked at it today, and he had put in 2 columns with the list of all, basically, you know, everything that's listed in the table of dimensions in terms of asking the applicant, you know, do you have an existing nonconformity? And he listed like lot frontage, lot width, you know, side setback, front setback, rear setback, open space, and I'm missing like 3 of them. And he had that, and then he had a column for proposed. And when I looked at it, I thought, I don't think homeowners are they're gonna be like deer in the headlights if they have to fill out, you know, all of this. But I think that actually wasn't the city solicitor's. So I gave him my feedback, and he said something about checking off the boxes. And I went, oh, I thought we were asking them to fill out all the information, not just like check off a box, because that would be overwhelming. So I think we'll probably still have some further iteration. And maybe I should just circulate it to everybody, because I just thought, I don't know. But
Yeah, that'd be
he just
fine.
he just wanted people to check off what's your existing nonconformity, is what I think.
Well, if you want
They'd
to send
tell
it
us.
to me, I can update it and circulate it.
Yeah, well, I think we need to figure out if
I
we're
think
gonna
Mark's
have
still
that,
gonna take a shot at it.
if we're
and
gonna have that checklist or not. Anyway,
Oh,
so that's the, it's still a work in progress. And then item number 6 is any other matter that's legally before the board. I don't know that we have anything else before us, so I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, so we're going to adjourn, and we have an early meeting